Welcome to Eternal Amour, where hearts are aligned and confidence defined. Today, we got something pretty cool to share, and it's all thanks to our buddy Stephan Speaks. Now, let me tell you, Stephan Speaks is like your go-to wingman when it comes to love and relationships. He's an well-renowned relationship coach. This guy's got wisdom for days, so we figured, why not spread the love and dish out his incredible insights. Today, we're diving into the 3 biggest red flags in men. Buckle up, folks, cause this ride's gonna be something else. But here's the scoop. Stephan's got some killer tips on how to handle that 3rd red flag. And guess what? It's the big kahuna of red flags. You won't want to miss it. So grab your popcorn and let's kick back.
This whole thing up and give you the information you need so you can make a well-informed decision and do what's truly best for you. So I'm going to break this whole thing down, and we're going to start with some major red flags you need to look for in men. Red flag number 1 in men to look for. He asks you to go 50-50 on the bills. Now listen, I'm joking and I'm kind of not joking, okay? Let me break this down for you. So now clearly asking you to go 50-50 is a relationship thing, and we've gone past the dating phase. But let's start with the dating phase. You go on a date, let's say a man asks you out on a date, and this man is asking you at the end of the night to now split the bill with him, or to even cover the bill with him. This is a red flag to me. Now, here's the thing. It's not that I think it's wrong if a woman decides she wants to pay for a date. Not that I'm telling you should. That's your decision, okay? Nothing wrong if you decided you want to go Dutch, whatever the case may be. If you offer to cover the tip, I always say that's a great thing, just offering to pay for the tip. All those things are okay, but we're talking about this man took it upon himself to ask you on a date and then ask you to either go half or pay for the date. Here's the thing. No man who is serious or trying to impress a woman is going to be taking the risk of asking her to go half. I'm not saying it's impossible for a man to like a woman and do that, but it is extremely unlikely, all right? Because men understand that when they find something or find a woman that they value or see value in, that they highly desire, they're trying to make sure they give themselves the best chance of moving forward with that woman in whatever direction they're trying to go. So men inherently know pulling a move like that, it's probably going to work against you. So the fact that he's willing to do that says he probably is not taking this situation that serious. But we're talking about a scenario where this guy is capable. He has it. And he's still asking you for 50-50. Now let me paint the picture very clearly. I've had situations where a client, let's say she was making $35,000 a year. The guy that she was with was making $85,000 a year. They move in together and he asked her to go 50-50. To me, that's absolutely ridiculous. And a huge red flag, because when a man has it, and he is truly in love with a woman, truly into that woman, truly serious about that woman, he wants to do for her, all right? If you surveyed men who are genuinely serious about relationships or serious about the woman they're with, and again, they have the resources, they don't have an issue at least carrying the greater burden financially. So for that man to be in a position where he can, but he chooses not to, says to me, he is not that serious about you in this relationship. So let's get to number 2. Number 2 is he isn't willing to discuss issues, all right? And women will comment saying, well, what's the point? I can't talk to him. He never listens. And my true, genuine response to them is, then why the hell are you with him? Like, I don't get it. If you cannot talk to this man, if you have made several attempts and he shuts you down, he's dismissive, he dances around this topic, he deflects, you simply cannot communicate with him, why are you still there? The reality is that this is a huge red flag simply because there is no way you can have a successful, healthy relationship with a man who is unwilling to communicate with you. Now, granted, I understand some men have a struggle with opening up and communicating. But let's start with, is he even willing to listen to you? Because in this example that I'm giving, this man is shutting the woman down over and over and over, not even allowing for her to express herself. That's a huge problem. And again, it's a problem because without communication, how can we overcome these issues? How can we solve these problems? How can we get on the same page? As well as for you to have to be in a relationship, a committed relationship where you're pouring into this man, but you feel unheard, you're going to start to feel devalued, you're going to start to feel disrespected, you're going to start to resent him. It's going to create a lot of negative and toxic energy. The sad reality is that many of you, or you know many other people who've done just that, and who have tried to drag along these types of relationships for months, for years, and continue on. Again, it is very important that there is an established environment of communication and openness and transparency, and that has to begin in the dating phase. You don't wait till you guys are in an official relationship, or you don't wait till you get married to try to figure out if you can talk to each other. You've got to figure that out while dating. You got to get deeper into each other while dating. So if he's unwilling to communicate, he's unwilling to hear you out, then this is a huge red flag you need to be aware of. Number 3 is an obvious one: when he gets verbally or physically abusive. So this is a delicate topic in the sense that, many women have gone through this. Many women have gone through this silently. And unfortunately, I have to say that so many have tolerated it because they've seen this growing up. They've seen this in their households, and they've become accustomed to the dysfunction of verbal or physical abuse. And I want to say especially verbal abuse, because there's this tendency to want to excuse verbal abuse. And what I mean by that is, for example, just an example, I've seen people, let's say someone is married and the woman is being physically abused, and they will automatically say, okay, leave him. He's putting his hands on you. You can't accept that. Leave. They understand that this is a line that has to be drawn. But when it's verbal abuse, they want to look past that. Oh, well, give it more time, give it a chance. And my thing is, that's a very dangerous approach, in the sense that verbal abuse has very lasting effects, can cause a lot of trauma within someone, and can deteriorate them in more ways than one. And even though that person may not be physically putting their hands on you, they are physically harming you in the sense that all that emotional stress is destroying you. All that emotional stress is going to trigger disease and ailments and all kinds of issues. There are a lot of people who have developed all kinds of problems because they were in toxic relationships. So I don't want us to diminish the impact of verbal abuse. Of course, physical abuse, we know what that is, but verbal abuse is something that should not be overlooked. So ultimately, when a man is getting verbally abusive, when he gets verbally abusive, it is clearly a red flag that has to be addressed. I will say that, just as I mentioned that there are women who tolerate it because of what they grew up in, there are men who engage in it because of what they grew up in. And they also think it's normal. That's not to make an excuse for it, but it is to say that so many are transferring the energy that they lived through as a child into their relationships as adults. I have seen situations, and I do not want anyone to take this the wrong way, but I have had situations where men have come to me who were verbally abusive, and if I'm honest, who even at a moment was physically abusive, saying, I need help. I want to fix this. I don't want to be like this. I lost my cool. I have a problem. But it's important to know that these men were seeking help. All right? They didn't just do it, say sorry to the woman, and then go back to acting like everything is all good. These men actually went out to get help. All right? Because it was a moment for them and not a consistent behavior. But don't take that out of context. The point is, verbal, physical abuse, definitely a red flag, definitely a sign that you're probably going to have to let this man go. But here's something that needs to be said as well, all right? And please hear me out. You have to make sure you're not being verbally and physically abusive yourself. All right. That isn't to say that you having engaged in that is an automatic excuse or free pass for that other individual, for that man to do the same. It's just to say that I've seen too many times where the woman is contributing to or creating or even the main aggressor in having a verbally abusive or physically abusive relationship. And the truth of the matter is that there are men who are in physically abusive and verbally abusive relationships who unfortunately are not seeking help, who may feel ashamed, who may feel like they have nowhere to go to. As a woman, you got to check yourself too. Don't put your hands on him. You don't want him to put your hands on you, don't put your hands on him. You don't want him disrespecting you, don't be disrespecting him either. Everyone has to hold themselves accountable to not pouring toxic, abusive energy into a relationship. Everyone has to unlearn those behaviors and address the root issues that have led to you engaging in that.